Hi, everybody. My name is Kimberly, and I am one of the 32001B, the BAS Assessment assessors. I will be running a webinar to help you with your assessment number 1 project, which is the MYOB. Hopefully this one can help you. So let's get into the screen. First of all, webinar. This is called the Carry Out Business Activity and Installment Activity Statement. This is me, okay? Okay, so what we are going to talk about today is overview of the assessment task and Capsicum policies and procedures to prepare and lodge the BAS report. And we are going to go through some checkpoints. First of all, which is a months end processes, what they do usually at the end of the month, and from the invoices provided. So you will be seeing at the end of the assessment, there are 10 or 11 invoices from telephone company, from motor vehicle company, and so on. So all the invoices have been entered in the MYOB, but somehow incorrectly. So we need to check all the invoices one by one and find out the error and correct the error before we lodge BAS statement. And number 3, other transactions. We have some more errors identified in the MYOB given by Capsicum, other than all the invoices provided at the end of the assessment. And lastly, we're going to have a look at the checkpoints of quarter and processes. Capsicum is going to process few transactions every 3 months to lodge their BAS. And I'm going to talk about how to prepare business activity statement on the MYOB and reconciliation processes such as payroll and business activity statement and GST. And we will finish with Q&A. So let's get started. First of all, I was told from many students, where do I get the MYOB file? So you will have to go to, I'm going to start with how to download the MYOB file. So you will have to go to the additional resources on the open space and click on the additional resources. And you will find the BAS additional resources and click on that. Then for the Mac users, you will have to click the Mac folder to get into Capsicum Preserves the Pty Ltd.myo. And for the Windows users, you will have to click on Windows folder to get into Capsicum Preserves Pty Ltd.myox. Now, if you haven't installed your MYOB on the screen on your computer, then you will also have to download how to install the MYOB 2016-02. Okay, so let's get started. You are assumed to be a bookkeeper for exact bookkeeping, and you are working on a contract basis each quarter to help Capsicum lodge business activity statement. So you will have to prepare June quarter 2017 business activity statement. You need to go through the MYOB file, the Capsicum preserves, and modify or amend the existing transactions, or sometimes you will have to create the new transactions to meet business activity statement requirements per Capsicum's policies and procedures. So then let's check out Capsicum's policies and procedures first. First of all, tax codes are given. Of course, in real life, not many businesses probably using all the tax codes, but for assessment purposes, we wanted to give you more the variety of the tax codes. So you can have a look at all these tax codes as per the assessment and then read it through when you can use those tax codes. For example, we have CAF or CAP tax codes. CAP as capital acquisition purchases. It will be used normally for asset purchases, but sometimes the ATO puts the limit, statutory limit, for you to claim GST or even depreciation. So some assets, if the asset price goes more than the statutory limit, you will have to only claim GST up to the limit, and the excess, you cannot claim GST. How simple is that? So any excess over the statutory limit, you will have to use CAF tax code. For Capsicum, we have only one case for that. And GST will be used for GST, sales and expenses. FRE, tax GST-free, will be used for GST-free supplies. EXP, Capsicum also export their sales to other countries. So when they export sales, they will use EXP tax code. ANR, this is for GST non-registered. So if you're given an invoice and that item or services or item is subject to GST, but GST is not charged, and also the invoice said not tax invoice, but just invoice, then that business is not registered for GST. So in the case, you will be using ANR tax code. ITS for the input tax receipt. So if you are spending expense to generate the input tax to sales, then what is input tax to sales? Such as you're receiving something which is not tracking GST. For example, the business owned a rental property. So we have a tenant in there who are individuals. They will pay rent to us, even though our business is registered for GST. We can't charge them GST because as an individual, they can't claim for the GST. So they will pay the rent, but supposed to be including GST, but we can't express GST in there. So those residential income will be having ITS, input tax to receipts tax code. And also any financial products, like we are investment company, so we are giving out a lot of interest to other people, then all these interest we are paying is input tax as well. So income triggered by interest will be ITS tax code. And also the INP, that is the input tax expenses. If we are paying any expenses triggering the input tax receipts, then all those expenses will have the input tax expenses. For example, I gave you the example of the business owning a rental property. So the rental income from the property will have the ITS tax code. Suppose we have to repair something for the rental property. So any expense we spend for the residential but the rental property, then it will have as an expense INP tax code. Unfortunately, expenses on the residential property, you cannot claim GST. Okay, let's move on. We have negative income with GST and negative income with no GST. I will explain this one more later. Also, we have NTD, which is not tax deductible, such as wines, beer, meals. We go out with the clients. Oh, this is a business matter. Why can't I claim GST? Unfortunately, the ATO has very much restriction on entertainment, which is food. So if you're paying for the food to your suppliers or clients, then you can't claim GST on that. It's not going to be tax deductible unless if you are paying for the food to the employee as a fringe benefit, but that's another story. And lastly, we have a VWH, which is the voluntary withholding. So let's have a look. Next, policies and procedures. Next, Capsicum has tax reporting every quarter, and then they will report their GST on cash basis. And pay-as-you-go withholding will be paid and reported on a monthly basis. Pay-as-you-go installment will be paid quarterly at 12 and 23% installment rate and also cash basis. Lastly, fuel tax credit are claimed quarterly as well. Maybe I am talking too fast. Number 3, policies, end of month procedures. Capsicum, because Capsicum is paying and lodging their pay-as-you-go withholding monthly basis, so they will have to pay deductions and pay-as-you-go payable and superannuation payable on a monthly basis as well. Quarterly business reporting procedures for Capsicum, of course, they will do the business activity statement, and for that, they will make sure they have withheld the voluntary withholding agreement if there is any, and they will record fuel tax credit to get some reduction for BAS liabilities and private use of the telephone and internet account. So we are going to have a look at these in details soon. So first of all, we are going to go on to the checkpoint number 1, which is end of month process. At the end of the month, Capsicum will pay May liabilities only. Some students are paying May and June liabilities. Oh, and my liabilities, the payroll liabilities, I can't reconcile. But that's because you might have paid too much liabilities. Capsicum pays only May liabilities. So all you have to do is 10th of June, you will pay May deductions and superannuations payables, and 20th of June, May pay-as-you-go withholding payable. Checkpoint number 2 is going to be from the invoices provided from the back of the assessment. So before, actually, you have some invoices with residential expenses and invoices with no GST charged on the invoice, and invoices with drinking and dinner, and invoice does not have an AVN number, and also invoice with mixed supplies. The GST is supposed to be 10% on the invoice, the expense, but less than 10% has been charged. So we call it as mixed supplies. Usually you can find this from insurance invoices, because insurance invoices will include stamp duty, which is not subject to GST. So total amount, the GST will not be 10% of the total amount. So will be less than 10% of the total amount, because normally insurance invoice will have GST component and GST-free component together in one invoice. And lastly, we have invoice of motor vehicle, which statutory limit applies. So we are going to have a look at these one by one. So let me just quickly go through checkpoint 3 and 4, and I will show you how these are done in NYOB. 3, also in the assessment, they have given you hints, and the hints will say, is a page 11 of your assessment, check negative sales tax code, and you also check residential rent received tax code, postage transaction tax code, bank interest income tax code, export sales tax code, and is there any future dated transactions? So if there is any, you will have to change it back to current, the quarter period. Checkpoint 4 is quarter end processing, which is the voluntary withholding. Capsicum has Doug Dial, he's a contractor, but at the moment, his account is recorded, his payment has been recorded using wages. So you will have to reallocate the expense account to farm contracting. And this is as part of the assessment. And every quarter end, the Capsicum will account for fuel tax credits and also 5% private usage of the phone and internet account. And it will be allocated to loan to director account. Okay, so let's get started from checkpoint 1. So what I'm gonna do, okay, I am going to show you this. Not this one yet. Show you my MYOB. So I'm going to, I am taking your time maybe, but sorry about that. Okay, so where's my MYOB? Here you go. I brought the MYOB and I have made cucumber Pty Ltd. But the MYOB file will say capsicum, but pretend it's a cucumber. But I have changed all the amounts, so they are not exactly same as your assessment MYOB. So please don't follow my amount. You will have to follow the assessment amounts. Okay? Okay, so my MYOB is open on another page. So I'm going to open. I will quickly open. I wanted to show you how to open it. Let me sharing. Unfortunately, I couldn't share because it's opening on the another computer. I'm really sorry, but I will move once it's open. At the moment, I can't move the MYOB, but once it's open, I will move it to your screen. Okay, it's opening. Yeah, you might say, why didn't you open before? But I really wanted to show how to open it. But anyway, it's open now. So let's have a look at here. Right? So this is supposed to be cucumber Pty Ltd. But let's see. So first of all, here I'm going back to checkpoint number 1. I am not gonna do everything, but I will show you how to pay the payroll liabilities. So in the MYOB, you will have to go to payroll because you're paying payroll liabilities and simply click pay liabilities. So let's click. Today is 10th of June. Of course, today is 10th of July, but let's change the date, payment date to 10th of June 2017. Oh, yeah, I hear you. 10th of June 2017. So, nothing comes up. What's the matter? Because we have to set the dated here when we accounted for the deductions. 1st of May 2017 to only 30th of May 2017. Remember, I'm sorry, May has a 31st. Remember, the deductions will be paid for May accounts only, not June. So make sure you have only 1 month and you can make a payment. So supplier, for example, the factory workers union. So you should be able to find the factory workers union as a card, and you can only have to do factory workers union, tick this amount, and really simple, record. That's it. That's how you pay the May deductions. I am not going to show you all of them, just maybe one more example, right? Check number. Make sure you are paying with the right check number as per the assessment as well, and simply record. I will show you with the pay-as-you-go withholding because that has a different date of payment. So now we are on 20th of June, and again, not deductions. You will be paying superannuation using this, and you will be paying taxes using this. Only month of May, who collects the tax? The ATO. So we must have Australian Taxation Office as a supplier. And we only have to do for the May withholding amount, tick. And check number, check it again with your assessment. payment date 20th of June, and simply you will have to record. As I said, I have changed all the amounts in this Cucumber Pty Ltd. So you are not going to have exactly the same amount. So don't get surprised. How come Kim's amounts are all different to my amounts? Because I have changed all the amounts. And I'm going to record. Done. Simple. And I will cancel. But remember, you will have to process all of them, right? Okay. Checkpoint number 2, from the invoices provided. So for that, I'm going to give you the invoices that has been created by me. Okay, here you go. So these are the invoices that I created, different names and different amounts. So we are going to start from Bunnings Hardware and Homeware. So if I see the invoice, it says assume the above expenses were for residential repair. Remember, any expenses paid for the making input tax sales, which is residential income received from individual tenants, then any expense spent for that must have INP tax code. So I'm going to find this invoice. Oh, where do I go? What to do? It's an invoice. That's why it must be under purchases. But not every invoices are entered in purchases function. Some invoices with the paying money, Capsicum used the banking transaction, spend money as well. So you will have to look for best the supplier. So transaction, find the transaction with the supplier. Maybe that's the best way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click find the transactions and card, and I will look for Bunnings Hardware and Homeware. My assessment doesn't have Bunnings. Yes, because I have changed all the names, right? So you will have to find the correct supplier name from the invoices and find the transactions. So the dated from 1st of April 2017 to 30th of June, but I will just leave it as it is because no transactions been entered after 30th of June 2017. So, wow, we have so many. So it seems like a credit side is the invoice, PJ, purchases journal, and paid CD, cash disbursement. And again, we have a PJ and paid CD, 982, right? And also we have a one alone CD without using the invoice, 740 has been paid. So I'm gonna go with the PJ because that's where the original transaction is. Also one more thing, the Capsicum policy is when you process amendment, you should not delete any account or any transactions, but you can create new transactions. So it says reverse and re-enter, but for the purpose of the assessment, just not to delete. That's what you have to do. If you delete, we will know what has been deleted. But as long as you change all the amounts from or tax code from the original, the invoice or the transaction, you will be okay, as long as you do not delete any transactions. So I'm going to just change tax code or amount from the original invoices. So first of all, I have this 560, which is 12th of April, and it says residential repair, and it says residential rental property. Aha, tax cannot be claimed, unfortunately. So I'm going to change it to INP, which is input tax expenses, and okay. Okay, oh, sorry, ignore all, ignore. Okay, so it has been changed. And this 560 is for the invoice of 560 payment of the invoice 560. So I'm not going to have a look at this, right? Because that's the invoice and payment. But I will have a look at this cash disbursement. Aha, it also says residential rent expense with GST. I couldn't see that from this invoice, but you should be able to find that out as well. If one invoice is given, then just expand your thoughts. Maybe I should check the other ones as well. And gotcha. So I'm going to change it to INP, right? Because clearly it said residential expense. And okay. I'm going to check the last one as well, because now I am more suspicious. So I'm going to go with PJ. And, oh, it doesn't say residential expense, so I will leave it as it is, assuming the pest control is for the business. So I will leave it as GST and just okay. I changed something, right? I should have canceled. So that's it. So hardware has been done. So let's have a look at the next one, which is the Mr. Shine cleaning. Oh, let's have a look at the invoices. It's Windows cleaning. Cleaning services. It's subject to GST, but it says invoice and doesn't have any GST. That means Mr. Shine, he's not registered for GST. Maybe small sole trader. So I'm going to find the transaction again with card Mr. Shiny cleaning and go in and check his invoice. Oh, he's not registered for GST. So we have, Capsicum has special tax code for that, which is the ANR. So I'm going to change it, use tax code, and simply say OK. Next one, we have Dragon Ball restaurant. And OK, let me have a look. So I'm going to here go to Dragon Ball restaurant and go in. OK. Oh, meals and entertainment. Tax code is NT. But again, as I said, GST cannot be claimed on meals and alcohol provided to your suppliers or customers. It's called, it says it's NT, but certainly you will have to, NT means not reportable. So you don't have to report this amount to the ATO. But as an expense, you will still have to report this to the ATO, but GST cannot be claimed. So I'm going to use this one, the tax code, as NTD, non-tax deductible, right? So that's it. So I'm going to change, I'm going to say, okay. Sorry, I might go a little bit fast because we still have a lot of things to do. Next one, we have high fencing. So I'm going to find the high fencing from here. Okay, here we go. And oh, we have two PJs. So I'm going to go into, but if you see the ID number is the same, 13. That means it is actually two. The one invoice, but split into two. One might be tax. So let's have a look. So when I go in there, oh, I see. This invoice doesn't have ABN number. So when you receive the invoice without ABN, you ought to deduct the highest marginal tax rate. In 2017, it was 47% plus 2% Medicare, which is 49%. Deduct the amount and report it to the ATO. But in this case, it is already done with the ABN tax code. Then why do they let me have a look at this invoice? Let me just go and check. For example, click on little text here. Okay. And simply click recalculate. Did you see that? Tax was 930, but it has changed to 980. Why is that? I wonder. So I do little calculations. 930 divided by $2,000, The tax of 46.5% was only charged to this invoice. Why is that happening? Is ABN 49%? Let me check. So I'm gonna go to list and go to tax code and have a look at the ABN. It is a 49%, but how come only 46.5% was charged? This happens, so let me explain. I have changed the tax amount. All I did was a little blue zoom arrow, okay, and just click recalculate and okay. So I'm gonna save it first. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the list tax code. This happens when the tax rate changes after one financial year. For example, now, 2018, no ABN withholding tax is 47% because 2% has been reduced for the highest income earners. So I'm gonna change this one for the 2018 tax year. I can change to 47%. And then I say, okay, hoping the transaction we just have done, it will change automatically. Ta-da! But as you can see, the tax is still showing as 980, which means even though the ABN tax shows as a 47%, it does not change what you have entered in the MYOB earlier. So you will have to go back and manually change those tax amounts. So my guess is this 46.5% and 49%, this assessment first came in like about 3 years ago when they changed the tax rate. But anyway, that's how you done, right? But I will leave it as a 980, 49%, because we are still doing 2017 tax year, right? Okay. And then close it. Next one, we have Fast Telecom Pty Ltd. Okay, telephone looks good. ABN and GST all looks good. Tax invoice, but total amount of 520 has been charged. Let me calculate the GST on that. That divided by 11, because that amount includes GST, must be 47 and 27, but only 3501 GST. First of all, we should not use the telephone account invoice as a mixed supplies, because telephone, you have to pay the GST of 10% will be charged on total expenses. But because it's given for assessment purposes, we will just use it, right? So let's see. So it must be mixed supplies, which means some amount doesn't have a GST and some amount is GST subjective. So we have to split the amount into GST component and GST-free component. So let's do it. How do I do that? So let's have a look. GST is $35.01. If I multiply this by 11, it will show the amount including GST. So in this invoice, 385.11 should be GST component expenses. Whoa, then I will write here as GST component. Oh, then what about the rest? Must be non-GST component expenses. So what I'm going to do, find that out. First of all, I will say GST free and total 520 minus GST component expense. Enter. So 134.89 GST is not charged. So that component is GST free component. So let's then reflect this one in the MYOB, on the MYOB. So I'm going to go back to find the transaction. It's better for me. Go with the card and Fast. Here you go, telecom. We have, seems like April invoice payment, May invoice payment, June invoice and payment. So I'm going to show you only April invoice. So you will have to do May and June by yourself. So I'm going to go to PJ, Purchases Journal. So in here, GST is 10%. So I'm going to separate it. How? That to be GST component 385 and 11 cents with the GST. And phone and internet for March, GST free, it will be. And also, as you can see, there is out of balance 134.89. So that is the GST free component, 134 and 89 cents with GST free. So now we have no out of balance, that's it. So all you have to do, record it. Okay, so I'm not gonna do May and June, and you will have to find the GST component and GST free component by yourself and apply this one. Amounts are not same as mine because I changed all the amounts and the invoice suppliers. Lastly, we have BMW Queensland invoice. So let's go and have a look. I'm gonna go find the transactions and card, look for BMW. Not coming. Why is that? When you buy a car, you are not gonna use the purchases journal. The car dealers are not really your accounts payable. They are more like a finance guy. So most of the car transactions will be recorded in general journal entry, creating the loan payable, right? So I'm going to go to, other than this, or maybe I will look with account. So I will look for motor vehicle, now showing number one, motor vehicle. Oh, here you go, motor vehicle at cost. And I can see the BMW. Okay, now we are given the car invoice, and as you can see, the car motor vehicle cost is way very expensive. The ATO has a statutory limit on the motor vehicles. So we might actually have to check the motor vehicle car limit first before we process anything. So I'm going to have a look. Motor vehicle car limit 2017. So let's have a look here. ATO site. We will go to ATO site. Okay, this doesn't look like an ATO, so I'm gonna go with this Australian Taxation Office site. Okay, looks like it. So let's have a look. Okay, if we are using motor vehicles solely for the business purposes, you will have to put that in G10. Of course, we know asset purchases. But let's have a look at down here. Look at this. If you purchase a car, the price is more than the car limit. The maximum amount of GST credit you can claim is only up to the limit. 1/11th of the limit. That means the limit will include GST. The limit showing here is 2018, but that is the same as 2017. So a lot of you are confused with luxury car limit, so maybe we will have to pay that. But if you see the invoice, it says the motor vehicle price include LCT already. It will be paid to the dealership, and the dealer will pay this one to the ATO. So we are not really responsible to pay LCT to the ATO, right? So it will be part of the car cost. And the purpose of the assessment, we are not actually asking you to do luxury car tax, so that is not going to be asked. So all you have to do is separate or split the car into the car limit with GST and excess over the card limit without GST. So let's do that. How much is that? 57,581. So I'm going to put the card limit here. Here you go. Here. Oh. Oh yeah, it's not working. So let me go and do it again. Paste. 57,581, right? And split. Oh, which one do you use? Do you use the 89 to split the car cost? 89,560 do you use, or 88,000? As you can see, 1,560 is a stamp duty, which has no tax on it. So we will, anyway, tax will not be claimed on stamp duty, so we will leave that out. If you include stamp duty on the car cost to work out the car limit, then you will be claiming actually more GST than less GST than what you're supposed to be. So I'm going to use only 88,000, the car cost itself, subject to GST, to split GST component and non-GST component. So how? Let's do it. So GST on asset, we will use CAP, tax code, that's the GST, which is the 57,581. Then the excess over 57,581 will have CAF tax code, which is 88,000 minus 57,581, which is the 30,419. So I am going back to the MYOB and go into this transaction. I will change the things in here. So I will change this one with the 57,581, and the excess, as you can see, out of balance is 30,419, and that's for the CAF tax code. Same thing, motor vehicle, 3410, and then 30,419 with CAF, which is literally GST free, right? So that is it. Oh, I closed the ATO site. I'm not sure whether you had a look at it. I don't think so. It also says when you prepare business activity statement, you can only claim car up to the limit in G10. So don't claim CAF anywhere else. Okay, so remember that, and that's it. And I see another one is hanging in here, which is suspense account. Suspense is the trade-in. When you have all the car to the dealership and then paying less amount for the car, new car, you will have to report that trade-in as a GST payable. So at the moment, the purchase, I can simply put the GST in here, but this journal entry is in the purchases acquisition state at the moment. So if I change GST here, it will be showing negative in GST paid. I don't want that because the ATO clearly says that should be GST collected, which is the 1A. So I'm going to create another entry to take care of the suspense account. So I'm going to say okay for this and go to accounts, record journal entry, 17th of April 2017. We have trade in, right? And the account, the trade in suspense account was 11995. So I'm going to debit, clear that out. It was in the credit side before to reduce your loan payable, but I'm going to put it in the debit to clear that suspense account. So 22,000 doesn't attract any tax. It was NT. So I'm not going to report it right? Suspense account. I'm going to report something else. So I will leave this one as NT, right, to remove it. And next, I will be using maybe some sort of income. Or other than creating the income, if you have a look at the motor vehicle, $88,000, even if I take off $22,000 from the motor vehicle, it's not going to affect the depreciation or GST, because anyway, GST and depreciation will be worked on 57,581. So even if I reduce the motor vehicle by 22,000 trade-in, it's not going to affect anything for tax purposes. So I'm going to use the motor vehicle, but some of you said, oh, we will have to create the sales account or the loss or gain account. But unfortunately, loss or gain, we can't really calculate because the accumulated depreciation and the original cost of the old motor vehicle is not given. So it is really hard to calculate those things. So I'm going to do simply credit the motor vehicle at cost with GST, right? So it reduces motor vehicle, GST, it reduces motor vehicle, right? But also, but it reduces, but not beyond the car limit. So it's still, it's above the car limit. So when you give this data to the tax agent, they will work on depreciation and other things using the 57,581. So you don't need too much to worry about this one now. So all you have to do as BAS agent or BAS agent to be, you have to report this GST in 1A. To do that, I will have to click on sales supply. So this will be recorded in GST collected other than GST paid as a reduction. Okay, so I'm going to record the suspense. So we have finished all the invoices. So let's go for the next one, which is the hint given. So all you have to do is have a look at all these hints given. Negative sales have a correct tax code or not. Residential rent has a correct tax code. So where do you go and find that out? It says you can have a look at that from GST cash report. But again, find the transaction might be a good idea. So other than we don't know the card, so you can go to the account and negative sales. So maybe it's a little bit hard. So I might have a look at the GST cash report. Or maybe I can go with the sales with the number 4, sales. And yeah, it is really hard to see. So I will have a look at it in the GST report. The next one, residential rent received. Rent received must be income. So I will look for income part and we have residential rent received. So we have these ones given. So all you have to do is just go one by one and check whether they have a correct tax code or not. ITS is the way to go. And this one, same, residential rent revenue, but it has NT. Oh, so we are going to change to ITS, input text receipt. Okay, right? So you will go this one by one. For example, postage. So I didn't finish all of them. So postage, you look for the expenses, which will start number 6. Postage, and have a look have a look at this. And 1 Australia GST. Oh, and 1 postage to Japan. If you go to post office and if you actually buy envelopes or anything for overseas, then you will be seeing in the receipt there's no GST charged, because any overseas envelopes or postage or stamp, it will be GST free. So it's a good idea not to buy local stamp and then put them and then send to overseas. but you go to post office and then you will pay for the overseas postage. Then it will not attract GST. So this is going to be GST free. And the rest, I will leave it to you, so you can go one by one and have a look, except for the negative sales, because we couldn't find it from here, right? And future dated transactions. Close it. So as I said, I will go to GST cash report, because it says, have a look at the GST cash report. It's coming up here. So in here, GST cash detail report, 1st of April 2017 to 30th of April, June 2017. Waiting. Am I too fast? You can't talk to me. Sorry about that if I'm too fast. Okay, now, if we have a look at them in here, we changed Mr. Shiny. Okay, looks good. And as you can see, negative. Here, something is negative. So click on that. Then it will open the original transaction. How good is that? So just get in there and look for sales journal, not the cash receipt, because everything needs to be changed in the original invoice, not the cash receipt. Aha. So this, the income they have shown you, it says, because my picture was hidden, it says sales been done, and actually it's not really negative sales. It is actually expenses they are paying. So that's what they call the negative sales. All right, so in the case, I'm going to change the negative sales with GST, NIG, and negative sales without GST, NIF, negative sales with GST, NIG, and just say okay. Okay, all right, and say okay, and close. So if you go back to the report and run report again, then let me see, where it go? Oh, the negative sales, that amount is gone. But you say, oh, there is still here. That means this is another transaction. So you will have to go in and change the tax code as well in here, right? So, for example, sales journal, and you will go for this to be NIG, and this to be NIF. So as I said, these are not really sales, these are actually expenses for the sales. So later on, it is better practice if you include these in GST paid, because they are really expensive. It shows as a negative, but these are really GST paid on expenses. So it is better to include these ones in G11, which is the purchases GST with the GST paid in business activity statement. So anyway, I think I didn't change everything, but I have shown you, I think, everything, not everything, but from the invoices and transactions. So you can, I cancel this one. You can do the future dated transactions as well. Go to report, an account, report, account, and here exceptions, future dated transactions, and just display. Right? You will capture any date recorded, any date using future date. Oh, one. So all you have to do, click this and then change it to 2017, right? And say okay. Right? And let's get into a little bit fast, get into months, quarter end transactions. We have a voluntary withholding agreement with Doug Dial. So we have to, first of all, charge 20% the withholding rate from him. So again, find the transaction. For me, it's not because I'm Cucumber PTY Ltd. For me, it's John, not account card, not Doug. John Smith. So all you have to do, go in. It's a problem. They are using spend money, using wages and salaries account. This will not be captured in payroll report. So if we are using wages and salaries, the account, you must use the payroll function, not in general journal or spend money, because it can't be captured in payroll report. But anyway, they asked us to change it to 51050, which is the farm contracting. And don't forget, you are withholding 20%. Withholding 20%. Looks like a 20%. And okay. Fuel tax credit, you will have to look for the fuel oil used in factory machine. So again, I'm gonna use the account name. And let me see, any expense? I don't see F for fuel. Expense can be cost of sales. Number 5, fuel, F for fuel. Factory fuel and oil. So I'm going to look for that, and there are accounts for that. So have a look at these accounts, and it says, as per your assessment, under the bill, it will say how many liters been consumed. So you will have to count this. For me, at the moment, I can see 400. So fuel tax credit, 400 at apply the rate given. So I'm gonna just use maybe 20 cents. So for me, let's just say it's $80 fuel tax credit. So of course, it seems more than that, but I am running out of time, so I will be doing only one. But please check all of them and calculate total liters of the fuel and apply the right rate. So I'm gonna use only 8, using 400 liters at 20 cents made up. So I'm going to go to the account, enter the journal entry, and it will be the quarter end, 30th of June 2017, fuel tax credit. So what do? We debit the fuel tax credit claimable. Number 2 is normally liability. These are what we call the contra liability, which will reduce other business activity statement liabilities. So you get the fuel tax claim credit. So this amount will reduce the liability. Tax code, we are talking about fuel tax credit, tax, of course, not reportable. Fuel tax credit will be recorded as an income. So you will still put the fuel tax credit in the credit side as the income, right? And then record it. Okay, now this has been done. I opened so many, sorry, and I'll go back to this. 5% private usage of the telephone. If you remember, and you have to allocate this one to the loan to the director for the company structure. If you remember from the telephone, we have a GST component and GST-free component. So you will have to also separate the private usage. When you use something from business, you cannot claim GST, right? So you will have to add just GST for the private usages and also, right, account for loan to director. The issue is the telephone account here is the mixed supplies. So some amount is triggering GST, some amount doesn't have a GST. So 5% private usage, you will have to separate them as well. I think you can do this one for all 3 months together. All 3 months together. But I didn't do 3 months telephone accounts, so I will show you only the months of April. But you can add them up and calculate all 3 months GST component and GST-free component and apply 5% in account as a loan to director. So if I apply 5%, and here, enter, it is going to be $19.26 for the GST component and $6.74 for the non-GST component for the month of April. Total loan to director will be $26, which is 5% of 520. Let's go back to the MYOB. Now look for, sorry, I'm opening too many things, right? Fast Telecom and month of April only. Go. I'm on the wrong place because I'm doing now loan to director. Sorry about that. So I have to go to account and record journal entry. So 30th of June, if you're doing 3 months together, you can do it all together. 30th of June 2017. Memo will be loan to director or 5% private usage. Now, what do I do? First of all, loan to director will be debit as an asset for the company. They have to receive it from the director. So as an asset, I'm going to record 26, right? Loan payable, loan receivable. It's called a non-assessable, non-exempt income. It's not reportable to the ATO. So I'm going to use NT as a tax code. But now, telephone must be reduced by the expense you claimed. It must be reduced by the non-private usage. So I'm going to look for that relevant account. Telephone. We have less private usage account. So I'm going to use it. First of all, $19.26 for GST. So GST will be adjusted. 1926, 10% of the 1926, you can't claim GST, which is 175. So 175 will reduce from your GST paid account. Now, same account, 2820, 2820, and the rest, which is 674 GST free component. You will still have to report it, GST free component, and record. Hopefully this is okay. So I have done quarter and process as well. Right? Next one, sorry, I'm going a little bit fast. Next one is how to process business activity statement. So what you need to do, I'm going to close all this. What you need to do is going to the account and go to BAS link, click. Today is June, right, quarter. Before I prepare statement, I make sure every setup is done correctly. So click BAS info on top left-hand corner, quarterly GST option 1, cash. I claim field tax credit, quarterly cash, option 2. I'm going to make up pay-as-you-go installment rate, but of course for you, it's given in the assessment, right? And monthly pay-as-you-go withholding, right? And we don't have FBT, it's not subject to this unit, and say okay. And now, ta-da, prepare statement, okay? So I'm changing few things and amounts are all different, but I think the concept I have delivered, it's going to help you process the assessment task. So it's open to another screen, so I'm going to bring it to this screen. here you go. This is the BAS that I have opened, right? So this is what it looks like. I enlarge it. So all you have to do is G1, which is the sales. So you can just click the setup and you will have to tick what kind of sales with the text code you have entered. So let's have a look. CAP, no sales. GST sales. NIG, I said NIG no, because as I said before, negative income, it's not really negative, but it's more expense GST. So I'm gonna include them in the GST paid with purchases. So no NIG, ANR, it was for purchases, CAF, purchases, EXP, sales. If you click, it will ask, oh, okay, this is not trigger GST. So where do you want me to put this amount as non-GST sales? It will go to export sales, which is the G2, right? Export sales. EXP tax code. Free, it will go to GST free sales. ITS, input tax receipt, it will go to input tax sales. Non-reportable, don't even report. Keep going, negative income, no. I think this is it. So you can say, okay, the sales been done, and the rest of the boxes as well related to the sales, and also calculate the GST collected. Now, G10, what did I say before? ATO will say only up to the limit. So I'm gonna click CAP, that's it, and okay. What about CAF? Just gone, right? Oh, of course, you gotta pay for it to the car dealership, but not on the BAS. G11, we will put GST on purchases. NIG, negative sales, but it's really expensive, so I'm gonna click that. It's okay. Continue. ANR, GST not registered expense, of course, and it will go to G14, purchases without GST. CAF, and EXP, it's only EXP sales, no purchases. Free, oh yeah, we have a GST free purchases, G14. ITS, it's receipt, not expense. NT, NIF sales, negative income with no GST free. Of course, we will include it as GST free purchases or expenses. NDT, not tax deductible. Yes, it's not reportable. You still report, but you can't claim tax on that. That's it. So we will go to G15. You can't claim tax, and it's not deductible for income tax. And IMP, input tax expense. Yeah, it will go to G13, input tax expense. If you have more than one IMP, click all of them, please, and say okay. Oh my God, seems done. Let's have a look at the front sheet. Whoa, it's done. It's beautiful. Let's go to the back sheet. Here, nothing really is done. So let's get into it. So first of all, pay-as-you-go tax withheld. Setup for the W1, total wages. Remember, we have a contractor as well, and we withheld tax from the contractor. That's not GST. So you must report that amount to the ATO. So I'm gonna put that into the here, WH. Actually, can I cancel and a little bit here, because my face is hidden. I will kept making faces for you, but it was not showing. Okay, again, setup. And you know what? I'm gonna click all because only too many things in there. So okay, right? But make sure, yeah, a lot of wages coming on, right? Imagine I'm clicking this one by one by one. So just make sure, just scroll through. Oh, can you see? There's some negative amount. These are deductions. deductions must be excluded because they're not part of the wages, right? So exclude deductions and say, okay. Tax, again, all of them, yeah, okay. Okay, it's my mistake. I think deductions should not be included, so I'm not gonna include deductions, which means just only voluntary withholding tax and pay-as-you-go withholding. Oh, different to my amount, because I have changed all the amounts. So the pay-as-you-go tax withholding is done. What about the ABN? The ABN was not paid. It was still outstanding from the high fencing or fixed fencing. It was still outstanding on 30th of June. So it does not come in here because we are doing cash reporting. For the pay-as-you-go installment option 2, my rate is 6%, but your rate is different. You must refer to the assessment. And simply all of them you tick. Make sure we have a fuel tax credit here as well, right? And lastly, fuel tax credit 7D, fuel tax credit. Okay, that's it, right? So this will be my business activity statement payable amount. How to print? So I'm going to click the print on the bottom. Don't look at the errors because there are a lot of errors because the ABN number is incorrect and other things are incorrect, not the tax amount. So if you look at the errors, then you can't print. So say no for the errors, and this comes up, right? So all you have to do is print again, and in your computer, print function, there might be Microsoft print to PDF or any other function. You can save any PDF file, right, in your computer. So you gotta use it. You don't have it, then take a screenshot, all the pages, and submit the screenshot, right? And just print to PDF. Save this one somewhere, maybe in the desktop, Cucumber, BAS. Okay, I have saved it. So it will be showing in the desktop. Sorry, it will be showing in the desktop, right? So I have saved. It's showing in another desktop. It's been already saved here, right? PDF here, capsicum. That's the one. So this is it. Lastly, I'm going to go through the reconciliation. Sometimes you make questions, oh, payroll, it does not actually reconcile. Why is that? As I said, maybe you paid the June amount as well, the deductions. That's why it doesn't reconcile. So make sure you're paying only May amount. And also, if you have a look at the profit and loss statement under the account, payroll is only for June. So you must go for the June payroll. I will be finishing soon. 5 minutes. There are 3 types of the wages: farm wages, and there will be factory wages, and there will be wages and salaries. All together, you have to add them up from the P&L wages and make sure this is the same as your payroll report. So I will not go on details of the payroll reconciliation, but if you have questions, you can make an inquiry to the BAS assessor, and then they will tell you how to reconcile them. The BAS previous quarter, it's not really, there is no issue, I think, in here. Sometimes you ask, how do you calculate the March pay-as-you-go installment? But we have no information on the pay-as-you-go installment. So all you have to do, whether it has been recorded correctly or not, how? go to report and have a look at the profit and loss statement of April. Because March quarter, income tax expense, which is the payroll, the installment, will be recorded after you are paying to the ATO as an expense. So as long as this expense is the same as the expense you can see from the March, the general journal entry as payable, then you can say it has been reconciled. Of course, this is just really, really simply done, but that's all we can do, right? GST paid and collected, and I will do this and then finish the webinar. GST paid and collected, I will show you. I have brought to this one. So we are reconciling GST as per balance sheet accrual basis with the GST on cash basis. So in the MYOB, you will have to first of all go to the balance sheet and extract GST on accrual basis. So here you go. GST on accrual basis. Here you go. GST collected is says 11,813, and GST paid is says 7,747 and 84. Right now, reconcile this. Close this one. That's all we need. Reconcile this one with the GST. Cash means we have to deduct all the outstanding GST. So I'm going to go to sales to get the outstanding GST receivables with tax on 30th of June 2017. Okay, in here, as you can see, the GST, we have quite a lot. Oh, wrong report. Receivables with tax. So as you can see, it says 4,920. So you got to minus 4,920. Minus 4,920. So your cash GST is supposed to be 6,893 as per GST cash summary. Okay, I will check it soon. But while I'm here, I'm gonna do. I will go to accounts and GST cash summary cash, and then this way. So it has to be 6,893. Okay, here you go. 6,893. So it reconciles, right? 893. Okay, for the GST paid, so we will go to outstanding GST for the purchases, payables with tax. Here you go. It says minus 1752. But if you have a look at this minus 980 tax withheld from high fencing, as you can see, this is not GST. So you have to exclude that ABN, no ABN withholding tax when you calculate outstanding GST, right, for purchases. So I'm going to exclude 980, which means only 682, 87 without 980. Total outstanding GST is 962.48 only. So not only, yeah, 962.48. That is the outstanding GST. Make sure you do not include high fencing. All you have to do is really minus 1752 plus 980 back. Then you can calculate the true GST outstanding. Okay, GST outstanding is done. So this has to be how much? like that. 6, 7, 8, 5, and 36. So let's go back to this. Ooh, it is different. But again, if we have a look at the GST cash summary, it includes voluntary withholding. That is not GST. That is a tax. And we also included that in W2, not in 1B, which is GST. So that should be excluded as a GST. So what do? I'm going to, this amount is 6,425 and 36, but you must add back 360, which is not GST, because that net amount has been reduced by 360, which is not GST, right? The true GST paid is these two only. So as you can see, ooh, reconciled. So that's how it's done, right? Sorry, I had to explain a little bit fast, but and also not many things I have, but I think I have covered almost everything so that you can do assessment a little bit easier than before, hopefully. So if you have any questions, please contact to your assessors and they will definitely help you how to go through all the business activity statements. I think this is it for me. And if we see again, then let's do that next time.